WCC title hopes we're live here in Vegas at the Orleans Arena. We'll get you ready for the Cougs' big weekend and what it'll take for them to return to Provo, crowned champions.
Spring fever. The football team is back on the gridiron, and we talked to old friends about putting their helmets back on.
And off and running, the baseball team is setting records and turning heads.
I'm Blake Dorton.
And I'm Skylar Wilcox. What happens in Vegas makes for a pretty awesome sportscast. It's time for the Tube.
So did you go to that Gonzaga game on Saturday?
I did, Blake. We got there at 8 o'clock on Saturday.
Nice.
We stayed out in the line the whole day. What about you? Did you go?
Yeah, we camped since Friday morning.
Oh, my goodness. Well, fortunately for the team, they've moved on there in Vegas, but we will get there eventually, but we have to relive some of those painful memories. Rock members started camping out Thursday night for the biggest home game of the year. Thousands of Cougar crazies lined up outside the doors just to get a seat inside. The student section filled in just minutes and brought the energy the whole game. Triple-double king Kyle Collinsworth got the place rocking when he swatted Domantas Sabonis' shot back to Spokane. Chase Fisher had one of the few bright spots shooting the ball in the first half. He gets the three-pointer and one here, pulling the Cougars within striking distance going into the break.
The Cougars trailed by 2 with under 20 seconds left when Nick Emery had the chance to be the hero, but a little short. Fellow freshman phenom Zach Celius had a tip-in chance, but that missed too. After Gonzaga missed a pair of free throws, Nick had a chance to totally redeem himself, but as you will see right here, he was just a little short once again. Things didn't look good at this point, but right here, Sabonis is called for the offensive foul to give possession back to BYU. He can't believe it. Collinsworth gets great position down low on the inbounds and a big old bear hug from Josh Perkins. No call from the refs, and the Zags hold on to beat the Cougs 71-68. The Cougars are taking their hoop dreams on the road to hot and sunny Las Vegas and the WCC Tournament. We sent our own team down to cover the men's and women's paths through the brackets. Coug2 reporter Aaron O'Sullivan is live in Las Vegas from the Orleans Arena. So Aaron, set the scene for us. What's the feeling like down there?
Blake, in one word, it's excitement. As you can see, the team is warming up behind me. They're getting ready for their big game. We've talked to both teams this week, and coaches and players say they understand the importance of this weekend and what it means for their big dance hopes. Let's tip things off with the men's NCAA tourney resume. Coug2 reporter Kenny Hutchings has been following the team all season. Kenny, how is BYU's bubble looking right now?
It's on the brink of bursting, Aaron. It is win to get in down here in Vegas for the Cougs, but no matter what happens over the next few days, it will definitely be a season to remember. BYU has its back against the wall, but that won't keep the Cougs from challenging for the title here in Vegas.
Kenny, the Cougars haven't won a conference tournament since 2001. Do you think they have a shot at cutting down the nets this year?
Absolutely. They beat every team in the conference at least once already this season, including top seeds Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They won't be afraid of anyone.
Thanks, Kenny. Cougars head into the tournament as the number 3 seed for the 3rd time. Let's break down this bracket. BYU starts the run for their first WCC tournament title against the number 6 Santa Clara Broncos. Second-ranked Gonzaga will likely be the Cougars' semifinal matchup. The Zags play against Portland. It'll be a battle if it's Cougar versus Bulldogs in the semis, since Gonzaga has made the finals every season since 1998. Pepperdine faces San Francisco, and the winner of LMU, San Diego, takes on the top-seeded St. Mary's. The men's team is still recovering from a tough loss at home to Gonzaga last Saturday, but seems there may be a silver lining in their setback. The Cougars are paired up against the Broncos team they've had no trouble lassoing since joining the conference. Ground Ridge is definitely the guy to be watching for Santa Clara, but don't sleep on freshman Nick Emery. He's 37-23 up against the Broncos in the 2 matchups they've had this season. Now on the women's side, the Cougars hold the coveted number 1 spot on the bracket for the first time since joining the conference, and they're definitely ready to rebound after last week's disappointing loss against Gonzaga. Coug2 reporter Brandon Henson is here with me now. Brandon, is the pressure still on BYU after last week's 4th quarter collapse?
Aaron, Saturday wasn't the ideal finish the Cougars had in mind, but they're still the regular season champs. It was their first loss in almost 2 months, and that loss doesn't diminish what continues to be a historic season. Lexi Rideout is the third straight BYU player to win Conference Player of the Year. And Aaron, she looks determined to lead this team to their third tournament title in 5 years.
Do you expect her to have an MVP performance in this tournament?
I think so. She only had 8 points in that Gonzaga loss. We all know that's not her typical numbers. I look for her to be the star in the Vegas spotlight and lead this team to a championship.
Thanks, Brandon. The women are about to face off with Pepperdine here in about 45 minutes, so let's see how these two teams match up against each other. So we know that Pepperdine and BYU have the two matchups for the quarterfinal rounds right now, but let's take a look at the rest of the bracket. With a win today, the Cougars will face off against Santa Clara. As much as the women's team may have wanted a rematch against the Gonzaga Bulldogs after that loss last week, it'll be the number 4 Broncos instead. San Francisco squeezed past San Diego and they'll face off against the winner between Loyola Marymount and St. Mary's. We'll be down here all weekend keeping those games and the men's games covered. This time of year is all about making that big run in March and knowing that every single team has a chance of making it to the big dance. Both Coug squads expect to return to Provo with strong runs down here in Vegas. Live in Orleans Arena, Aaron O'Sullivan, CougTube.
All right, Aaron, can't wait to hear who you picked to win the titles. We'll see you again later, a little bit later.
You know, pretty impressive. Day 1 of the WCC tournament, we've already had an upset with the Gonzaga women losing, so you never know what's going to happen.
That's
there,
huge
right?
for the women. I mean, that's their biggest opponent probably.
It's incredible. Well, believe it or not, we do have some other sports stories to cover that aren't happening in Nevada. So when CougTube comes back, baseballers, the team is shining bright out on the diamond.
And back in action, spring football practice have some old favorites out making plays. We'll be right back.